Alright guys, so we're going to go over the first practice quiz for quiz 12 and fill out some Cornell notes to help you guys study for the actual quiz. Let's adjust. Alright, so first question says factor the polynomial completely using synthetic or long division. And then we're using this factor. So I'm going to go ahead and use synthetic division because we don't have much space and I think that's the easiest. If you prefer long division, definitely check out the notes video for that. So first, I'm going to make sure I have all the degrees. X to the third power, second power, first number constant. So I don't have to add any zeros. I'm going to go ahead and set up my synthetic division. And remember, synthetic division, so for synthetic, use coefficients. Okay, coefficients are the numbers in front. And then for synthetic, we also use the solution, not the factor. Right? So here's the factor. If I want the solution, I set it equal to 0, solve for x. So 3 is the solution I'm going to put out here. Right? Then I'm going to go ahead and put all my coefficients. So for x to third, that's 1. Then it's 4, negative 11, and negative 30. And this last term here will be my remainder. Next, first thing we always do is bring down the first term, no matter what it is. So in this case, it's a 1. So I'm bringing down the 1. Now we do synthetic. I'm going to do 3 times 1. That's 3. So it gets bumped up in there. And then you add going down. So 4 plus 3 is 7. Then the process repeats. 3 times 7 is 21, so that gets bumped up in here. So 21. Then I add going down. So we're going to have to do 21 minus 11, or negative 11 plus 21. And we get 10. Repeat the process. 3 times 10 is 30, so that gets bumped up here. And we add, and we got 0. So we got a remainder of 0, which means x minus 3 is a factor. Now I'm going to go ahead and add down here my degrees. So it's always 1 degree less than original. What that means is we look at what we started with. We started with x cubed. 1 degree lower than x cubed is x squared. So that's what we're going to put here. So I'm going to put an x squared. The next one down from x squared is an x. And then it's always our constant. So far, if I do the factoring, we have the original, the x minus 3, and then our answer, x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now we're not done because it said to factor completely. So x squared plus 7x plus 10, we can factor. And I'm going to go ahead and do the tree method out here. Right, we want x squared, we want the 10, and 7x. Hopefully you guys have practiced factoring and are experts at it. So we know x times x is x squared. 2 times 5 is 10. Multiply down, we get 2x plus 7x. And that is 7x. So it factors to x plus 5 and x plus 2. So don't forget the original, x minus 3. And then we factored the x squared plus 7x plus 10 and got x plus 5 and x plus 2. This would be your final answer. That's the completely factored form. A lot of people forget to factor again. Right? So let's recap. Synthetic division. Use the coefficients only, and we use the solution, not the factor. Always bring down our first term, multiply, bump in, then add. Multiply, bump in, then add. After that, it's always 1 degree less than the original. Started with x to the third, so now we go 1 down, starts with x squared. Go down. Let's go to the next problem. It says how many total, right, that's real and imaginary zeros does this function have? So we're going to use the formula plus or minus factors of the last term divided by the plus and minus factors of our first term, right, the coefficient. So I want all the factors of 6, because that's the last term, and divided by all the positive and negative factors of our first term, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and list all the factors of 6. That's 1, 2, 3, and 6. Then all the factors of 2, 1 and 2. So now I'm going to take every term and divide everything by 1. Okay. So plus and minus 1 over 1, that just simplifies to 1. 2 over 1 is 2. 3 over 1 is 3. 6 over 1 is 6. Now I got to do it again with the 2. So 1 divided by 2 is still 1/2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, which we already have, so I don't have to write it again. 3 over 2, that's a new one, that's 3/2. And then 6 divided by 2, that simplifies to 3, which I already have. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 total zeros, right? Oh wait, that's supposed to go down there. Well guys, I can't read the directions. So this is actually going to go down here. Possible solutions, plus and minus 1, plus and minus 2, plus and minus 3, plus or minus 6, 1/2, and 3/2. Right? So factors, plus and minus, put it down there. I'm too lazy to make a new video. Okay. This one, super easy. I overcomplicated. How many total zeros can you have? You look at the highest degree. Look at highest degree. So our highest degree is 3. So the total number of zeros is just 3. How do we know? It's because it's the highest degree. Super simple question. I overcomplicated it. Alright, so once again, I'll put the final answer here. How many total zeros? 3 total. And we know this, it's because 3 is the highest degree. So that's the answer. Right. So, coming back to here, I already did half of it. What are the possible solutions? That's the plus and minus factors of the last term divided by the factors of the first term, which we got. To find the actual zeros, plug in Desmos or graphing calculator, and we're going to see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Desmos on the phone. So let's see. Once this decides to load, let's go ahead and do start mode. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the equation in. So that's 2x squared. Oops, my bad. Should be a 3. Okay. Then we have a plus x squared. X squared. Plus 5x. Plus 6. Now I'm going to look. We only have one real solution. I'm going to tap on it. It's at -1. So what are the actual solutions? Right there. Tapped it. It's -1. So those are all the possible ones, and it looks like there's only one real one. Right? It didn't ask us to factor completely, so we're done. Let's move on to the next problem. It says the polynomial function with rational coefficients has a root of 2 plus 3i and the square root of 7. And remember, these all have buddies. So 2 plus 3i, we need the complex conjugate. So complex conjugate switches the middle sign. So this is 2 plus 3i, then the additional root is 2 minus 3i. Right? And then if we have the square root of 7, well, switching the middle sign, there's only one sign, which means this negative square root of 7 is its buddy, its complex conjugate. And that's it. Super quick. Do you remember the complex conjugates? Next one, factor by grouping. So when we factor by grouping, it's when you have 4 terms. Step 1, split in 2. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm splitting it down the middle. Now I'm going to ignore the right side and I'm going to factor each half. Right? Take out the greatest common factor. So I have x cubed plus 2x squared. The GCF, a greatest common factor of this, is just x squared. So if I take out an x squared, we're left with an x plus 2. And we factor the left side. Now I'm going to ignore this half, and I'm going to factor out the right side. Notice how they both have a negative? That means I can definitely take out a negative. And the GCF of 3x and 6 is going to be 3. So if we take out a negative 3, we'll be left with an x. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is actually positive 2. Right? And we factor that. Next step, check to see if parentheses are the same. Right? So x plus 2 and x plus 2. They're the same, which means one factor is the x plus 2. They both became that one parentheses. The second parentheses is what was left outside that we factored out. So we had an x squared factored out. X squared goes inside now. We had a negative 3 factored out. That goes inside now. And that's it. That's the complete factor form when we factor by grouping. First, split it in 2. Factor each half by taking out a GCF. Make sure your parentheses are the same. When they're the same, you know you've done it correctly, and you know that's one parentheses. And then the second parentheses is what you factored out from each side. Okay. Next one. So this has 3 terms, not 4. So we're not going to do factor by grouping. So when we have 3 terms, first step, try to factor out a GCF. So we have x to the 4th, 10x squared, and 24. Unfortunately, we cannot take out a GCF. So the next step is just a factor. And you can use whatever method you've been using. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use the tree method, or the Charlie Brown method. It doesn't really have an official name, I guess. Oh well. So first term, x to the 4th. Last term is 24. Middle term is 10x squared. So what 2 things multiply to x to the 4th? That's x squared times x squared. 2 things that multiply to 24, I'm going to try 4 and 6. Multiply going down, I get 4x squared and a 6x squared. Is 4x squared plus 6x squared 10x squared? Yes. So they all 3 checked out, which means the diagonals are the factors. So x squared plus 4 and x squared plus 6. And this is x squared plus 4, not a difference of squares. So we're done. Factored it all completely. Okay. Don't forget your quiz will also have one SL review question. So make sure you study the second practice quiz as well. But that's our first practice quiz. Either synthetic or long division, just looking at the highest degree, using the plus or minus factors to find the possible ones, calculator or Desmos to find the real ones, x-intercepts, complex conjugates, remember the buddy system, factor by grouping, and just regular factoring. All right? Good luck studying. Remember, you can make your own problems as a way to study. Okay? Have a great day.